The Human Empire, Episode 2. The crowded square of Zinthora's capital city buzzed with murmurs and clicks from dozens of alien tongues. At the center of the square, bound and muzzled, was a scruffy, golden-furred dog. Its brown eyes glared defiantly at the crowd, a mix of fear and anger evident in its trembling form. The Zinthoran official, tall and slender with iridescent skin shimmering under the artificial sun, raised one of its 6 limbs to silence the audience. "This creature," it announced, its voice amplified by floating drone speakers, "has been deemed a danger to public safety. For biting one of our citizens without provocation, it will be neutralized immediately." The crowd murmured louder, a few Zinthorans clapping their appendages in approval. Others simply watched, indifferent. A small human boy, barely 12, pushed his way through the crowd. His face was flushed, his voice cracking with desperation. "Wait, please don't hurt it. It didn't do anything wrong." The official sneered at the interruption. "Humans should know better than to interfere in Zinthoran justice. Leave, boy, or face the consequences." Ethan stood his ground, fists clenched at his sides. "You're wrong. That dog is trying to protect someone. I know it." When the official ignored him, Ethan did the only thing he could think of. He activated his communicator and sent an urgent distress signal to the Human Empire. He hoped someone, anyone, would listen before it was too late. On the bridge of the Resolute, a sleek Human Empire starship, General Marin reviewed the incoming distress call. The grainy image of Ethan appeared on the hollow screen, his voice pleading for help. "A dog?" Marin muttered, his salt and pepper eyebrows furrowing. This better not be another one of those save the puppies hoaxes. But when Ethan described the incident and the dog's strange behavior around certain Zinthoran researchers, Marin leaned back in his chair. His instincts, honed over decades, whispered that there was more to this than met the eye. "Captain Collins," he said, summoning his most reliable officer. A moment later, Captain Sarah Collins strode onto the bridge, her expression sharp and focused. "Sir? We've got a situation on Zinthora. A human boy is claiming that a dog's life is in danger because it bit an alien. Normally we'd let local authorities handle this, but..." He tapped the console, pulling up Zinthora's profile. "The planet has a history of secrecy, especially around their research facilities. Something about this feels off." Collins nodded. "You want me to investigate?" "Take a team," Marin ordered. "Recover the dog. Find out what really happened." "Yes, sir." The dropship descended into Zinthora's atmosphere like a silver streak of lightning. The Human Empire's emblem, a planet encircled by olive branches, gleamed on its hull. Inside, Captain Collins briefed her squad. "We're not here to start a war," she said, her tone firm. "We're here to recover a dog and get answers. But if the Zinthorans are hiding something, we'll find out. Understood?" The squad nodded, their armor clinking as they prepared for potential conflict. As the ship landed near the city square, the Zinthoran crowd parted nervously. Collins and her team emerged, their polished combat suits and stoic expressions casting an intimidating presence. "I am Captain Sarah Collins of the Human Empire," she announced. "We're here to recover this animal and investigate the circumstances of its alleged crime." The Zinthoran official bristled. "This is an internal matter. The Human Empire has no jurisdiction here." "The dog is under human protection," Collins said, "and we're not leaving without it." The official hesitated, its multiple eyes darting between the soldiers and the dog. Before it could protest further, Collins stepped forward, pulling a small metallic collar from her pack. The crowd gasped as she secured it around the dog's neck and activated it. A soft hum filled the air, followed by a rough, gravelly voice. "This thing works?" the dog growled, shaking its head as if unused to speaking. Collins crouched to meet its gaze. "Tell us what happened." The dog growled again, its tone more focused now. "That alien I bit. It was taking human kids. I saw it grab a boy and drag him away. I tried to stop him." The square fell silent. Collins straightened, her jaw tightening. She turned to the Zinthoran official, her eyes cold. Is this true? The official stammered, its iridescent skin dimming in panic. Lies! The creature is lying! Collins wasn't convinced. She motioned to her team. Scan the area for human DNA. If the dog's telling the truth, we'll find evidence. The soldiers spread out, their handheld scanners lighting up as they combed the area. Within minutes, faint traces of human DNA led them toward the city's outskirts. The dog barked and tugged at its chain, its collar translating its urgency. I know the way, it said. I can take you there. Collins hesitated, then nodded. Unchain it. As soon as the dog was freed, it bolted, leading the team through dense undergrowth and rocky terrain. The path ended at a concealed facility, its metallic walls camouflaged against the natural landscape. The team's scanners lit up like fireworks. Human DNA was everywhere, stronger and more concentrated. But something else caught their attention. Shallow graves scattered around the facility's perimeter. Collins crouched by one of the graves, her gloved hand brushing aside the dirt. A wave of nausea and fury swept over her as she uncovered human remains. Captain, one of her soldiers said, his voice tight. What are your orders? Collins stood, her hand resting on the hilt of her weapon. We're going in. The interior of the facility was a nightmare. Rows of sterile glass-walled cells held humans, some barely alive, others motionless. Strange machines hummed ominously, tubes filled with glowing liquid feeding into the captives' bodies. Zinthoran researchers scurried between the machines, their translucent forms pulsing with bioluminescent light. When the soldiers burst in, weapons raised, the researchers froze. Step away from the humans, Collins barked. One of the researchers, a senior-looking figure with intricate patterns glowing across its skin, hissed in defiance. These experiments are for the greater good. You humans are... The rest of its words were drowned out by the soldiers' gunfire. The room erupted into chaos as the team systematically neutralized the researchers. Collins moved with precision, her every shot finding its mark. Secure the survivors, she shouted, and copy all the data from their systems. The soldiers worked quickly, freeing 12 humans and loading them onto stretchers. As one soldier hacked into the facility's database, Collins noticed a small, trembling figure in the corner. The dog. It had followed them inside, its eyes locked on the captives. When Collins approached, it looked up at her, its voice trembling through the collar. They're safe now, right? Collins knelt and placed a hand on its head. Yeah, they're safe. Thanks to you. The rescued humans were weak but alive, their faces pale and gaunt from whatever horrors they had endured. As the soldiers secured them onto the dropship, Captain Collins stood at the facility's entrance, her gaze fixed on the shallow graves scattered outside. The anger simmering within her had turned into cold resolve. Captain, said Sergeant Vega, one of her most trusted soldiers, we've copied everything from their database. Names, experiments, everything. The Empire will have all the evidence it needs. Collins nodded, her expression hard. Good. This doesn't end here. She turned to the dog, who was pacing nervously near the dropship. Do you know of any other places like this? She asked, kneeling to meet its eyes. The dog hesitated, then shook its head. I don't think so. This is where they brought everyone they took. Collins sighed, running a hand through her hair. Let's hope you're right. The team set explosive charges around the facility. As the dropship ascended into the sky, the ground below erupted in a fiery blast, erasing every trace of the Zinthoran researchers' monstrous operation. The dropship returned to the Zinthoran capital, landing with a thud in the middle of the square. The crowd had dispersed, but the Zinthoran official who had ordered the dog's execution was still there, flanked by guards. Collins and her team disembarked, weapons slung, but expressions unyielding. Behind them, the rescued humans, now receiving medical attention, were visible through the ship's transparent walls. The official's shimmering skin dulled as it noticed the humans. What? What is this? This, Collins said, stepping forward. is the result of your planet's actions. Human lives, abducted, experimented on, and discarded. And you tried to silence the only witness. She gestured to the dog, who stood at her side, growling softly. The official raised its hands in protest. This is not the will of our government. These researchers acted independently. We had no knowledge of... Collins cut it off with a sharp glare. Spare me your excuses. The human empire doesn't care for your internal politics. What matters is this. Harm a human, and we will respond. She turned to her team. Broadcast the footage. One of the soldiers activated a portable holo projector, projecting a live feed of the rescued humans, the destroyed facility, and the graves. The broadcast was sent galaxy-wide, reaching every corner of the known universe. The broadcast carried a simple, chilling message. To all civilizations of the galaxy, the human empire protects its own. Harm humans, directly or indirectly, and you will face the consequences. This includes our companions, both human and animal. We do not forget. We do not forgive. The message reverberated across the galactic network. On countless planets, governments scrambled to ensure their policies aligned with the Empire's warning. The Zinthoran leadership, fearing further retaliation, immediately offered reparations and pledged to dismantle any remaining research facilities. But for the human empire, the apology wasn't enough. The Zinthorans were now marked, a civilization under watch, their every move scrutinized by human intelligence operatives. Back on the dropship, Ethan rushed to the dog, wrapping his arms around its neck. I knew you were trying to help, he said, his voice cracking with emotion. The dog wagged its tail, the collar translating its thoughts. You're not so bad for a kid, it said, licking his face. Captain Collins watched the interaction with a rare smile. She approached Ethan and knelt beside him. You did the right thing by calling us. You saved lives today. Ethan beamed. Can I keep him? Collins raised an eyebrow at the dog. What do you think? The dog tilted its head, then barked. As long as he feeds me, and no weird clothes. Ethan laughed, hugging the dog tighter. The rescued humans were taken to a medical ship orbiting Zinthora, where they received advanced care. The Empire's forensic teams analyzed the facility's data, uncovering disturbing details of the experiments. Many alien civilizations condemned the Zinthorans, severing trade agreements and alliances. Zinthora became a pariah among the stars, its once respected reputation tarnished. Meanwhile, the human empire's actions solidified its image as both a protector and an enforcer, one not to be trifled with. As the dropship cruised through hyperspace, Captain Collins sat in the cockpit, staring out at the swirling stars. Sergeant Vega approached, holding a steaming cup of coffee. Penny for your thoughts, Captain? He asked. Collins took the cup, her lips curving into a faint smile. Just thinking about how a dog's bite uncovered a galactic crime ring. Vega chuckled. Guess the galaxy knows now. Don't mess with humans, their kids, or their dogs. Collins nodded. Damn right. In the crew's quarters, Ethan was curled up on a cot, fast asleep. The dog lay beside him, its golden fur gleaming under the ship's soft lights. For the first time in a long while, the galaxy seemed just a little safer.